Oh guys, we got one! Yes! That's a redfish right there, y'all. Oh, this is a big one. Woo! Listen to that drag scream, baby. This guy's probably overslot by the looks of him. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wintertime red fishing, baby. Fellas, look at this tank. We have got ourselves a tank. Get in there. Massive. Oh my gosh. Well, that's one way to start the show. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. That right there was a freaking giant redfish, and here in today's video we're going to be talking about all things to do with wintertime red fishing. So we're going to be talking about tackle, be talking about tactics, and we're going to be getting on some big old fish. Real quick before I get my line back out there, let's go ahead and go over the rig we're using right now. All right, y'all, so this rig right here is a pretty popular one, pretty recognizable, but for those of you who are new to inshore fishing, we like to call this the popping cork. And that is why. See how when I do that, it pops way over there. It makes that popping sound. And so a little bit of the reason why we're using this popping cork here today, why we chose this bait. Now, as you can see, we're fishing on a big, wide open back lake. Oh man, already on one. Cool. So let's try and talk about this. He feels a little bit like he might actually be a slot, a keeper. But yeah, so as you can see, just those couple pops got that guy's attention. He comes to the area and he smells our shrimp, hits it, and we got him. Nice solid hook up there. Let's go ahead and release this guy and get back to what we were saying. So the popping cork, we're on this big old back lake, and that's a pretty much a wintertime basics thing. In the wintertime, these fish are looking for warm water, and they can find that in one of two ways. They can find deep water that just stays warmer, because at the top of the water you tend to get a lot of that wind disturbance, and it aerates it, and it really gets that wind chill on the top layer of the water, so they can go deep, very deep, like super deep holes to get warmth. Or if you are lucky enough to find a shallow flat like this, mud flat, that sun is baking the shallow water all day, and it's actually baking the darker colored mud under there, and it's really helping to regulate the temperature of all of this water. And so it makes for a good feeding condition for these redfish, and that's why we're here on them today. Now, as far as the popping cork goes, you can see we have a decently high amount of wind today. So over this wide open back lake, you get a lot of surface disturbance, right? And it can be tough for these fish to key in on your lure when there's so much going on around them. So when you give that pop, it kind of gets their attention. They hear it. It kind of sounds like fish feeding. They come in and they clobber your freaking lure or your shrimp, whatever you may be using. I mean, you don't have to use shrimp. You could have a gulp on this. It would work probably just as well. And yeah, we're having ourselves a great time. So let's go ahead, get it rigged up, and try and get on another one here. All right, y'all, so very quickly, let's go ahead and go over how you want to work the popping cork. So just give it a nice big old cast. I would recommend using a spinning reel. Can throw these on a bait caster, but it's way easier on a spinning reel. Then you just reel for tension, kind of get your rod tip pointed wherever your cork's at, and then a very abrupt twitch of the wrist. You don't want to like yank it and start dragging your cork in. Your goal is to just get a very quick little chug out of that. It's almost like you're working a plug, topwater plug. And you just want to take it easy, pop it, let it sit and drift with the natural movement of the water. If you start popping it like damn crazy, a redfish will try and come up and actually hit your cork itself, like it is a topwater plug, and it kind of just defeats the purpose. So pop it enough to get their attention, but don't go damn crazy. You want them to be able to see that shrimp down there. Alright y'all, so while I was waiting for my next bite, I wanted to talk to y'all a little bit about some tips and tricks for fishing back lakes. Now when it comes to fishing a back lake, the main challenge you're going to have is just how big they are. And as a beginner, it can be kind of intimidating when you first make your way out there. But don't worry, because there's some key things that we can look for to help us zone in on an area that fish could be feeding. The first and by far the easiest one to see is going to be birds. A dead giveaway that there's a school of feeding fish in the area is going to be birds hovering over and diving down on a spot in the water. More often than not, when you pull up to those birds, you're going to be able to cast your lure into the mix and you're going to get on a fish very fast. So birds are great and all, but you're not always going to be lucky enough to see them every time you get out on the back lake. Which takes us to our next subject, bait and blowups. What you're going to be looking for here is a big school of bait at the surface of the water. And sometimes you can even see the game fish coming to the surface and aggressively feeding on the bait. And on a day like this, when we got to the back lake and we didn't see birds or bait, we had to rely on the mud. Now mud can be a little bit tougher to see, but if you take a very close look at the back lake, sometimes you'll notice a patch of water that just looks a little muddier than the rest of the water. It'll be like a very cloudy mud, almost like it's suspended, and that can be a great sign that there's a school of redfish roughing up some bait in the area. And like clockwork, when me and my pops pulled up to the mud, made some casts, we were able to get on a couple of really nice redfish and just had a great day. But at this point in the fishing trip, the wind had kicked up quite a bit. That's honestly the reason I'm doing this voiceover. And also what that did was made it to where the entire back lake became muddy. So it was very hard to key in on exactly where those fish were. I went ahead and continued blind casting with the popping cork for a while, but I was having no luck. So what I did was decided to switch to a darker color paddle tail. As you can see here in the video, I'm using that plum chartreuse. And in the wintertime, when you've got really muddy water, it's hard for those fish to see a lighter colored lure, and having that darker color creates more contrast, which makes it easier for those fish to key in on your lure. Now right here I'm using the paddle tail, and this is also very good because I've got a lot of ground to cover at this point. I have an idea of where these fish are because we were catching them earlier, but I'm still kind of blind casting. So what you're gonna do is whip this thing out there, you reel it in, and you kind of gotta vary up your retrieve. I was fishing for a very long time before we finally got our catch on the paddle tail, and that was because I was using my standard retrieve where I kind of go for twitch, twitch, reel it a little bit, twitch, twitch, and I changed that up, and it wasn't until we switched to a very fast and straight retrieve. No twitches, just a very fast zip in, and that's when I was starting to get my bites. It's all good. Just gonna keep fishing, hope for the best. I think we're on one, y'all. Nice fish here. Oh yeah, he's trying to go under. Oh baby, let that drag rip. He hit the paddle tail. Ooh, ooh. You're not going nowhere this time. We're not gonna muscle him. Not gonna muscle him. Turn him this way. Get over here, baby. Let's go ahead and preemptively get this motor up. If you've got anything, any kind of kayak, whether you got your pole in the mud, when you're dealing with big old fish like this, you want to make sure there's no obstructions under that kayak. So if they go over, all you got to worry about is pulling your rod tip around the bow. I can't tell you how many times I've had heartbreak at the boat because they broke me off by just darting straight under, wrapping up in that motor or wrapping up in my push pole anchor. Come here, you beautiful beast, you. Yeah, no. Oh, get in the net, bro. Dude, please. Oh my goodness, no. Dude's all... Get your ass in my boat. Look at what he... Stop. I've had enough of you. We did it. We freaking did it, y'all. That is our redfish on the paddle tail. Let's get a closer look. Oh my goodness, y'all. And this right here is what you do it for. Giant freaking redfish out here in the back lake. Regal son of a gun. Let's just take a second to appreciate this guy. Wow. Go ahead, let him breathe. Gosh, he's already ready to go. I don't even know if he needs to breathe. But we're gonna let him, and then we'll go ahead and get this release. There we go. And look at that. So switched it up to a different plum chartreuse paddle tail. A little bit smaller, a little bit of a different action. That's a down south. But looky there. One off the artificial, one off the freaking shrimp. What a day. What a freaking day. I'll let this guy breathe again. I want him to give me... Okay, that's what I wanted him That's what I wanted them to do before we let them rip. It's time to let them go now. Okay, buddy, come on. You were acting all freaking ready and... Come on, get on. There we go. Let's freaking go. Thumbs up for that, boys. All right, y'all, that is gonna do it for this video. Thank you very much for sticking around to the end. And before we sign off really quickly, I wanna go over a couple announcements on what's going on with my channel and something new that I'm doing. So basically, at the beginning of this year, 2023, I made it my goal that I really wanted to focus on growing this channel. In the past, I've always kind of focused more on fishing, and now I really want to kind of do more of the YouTube side of things and really focus on, you know, not just going out and recording fishing, but getting a really good video every single time so I can keep people coming back when a new person clicks on my video. You know, I want them to have a great experience. I want it to be an exciting, a fun video, and you don't really necessarily get that all the time with real fishing. Sometimes it's boring, sometimes it's a bad day. So there's been less uploads, it's been slow, and I really want to make sure that every video I post, you know, is a really good one. So when they come back to the next video, they know what to expect. It's going to be a great, fun video. Now, that being said, I decided the second announcement is going to be that I'm starting a second channel. So in the past, you know, I've uploaded those videos with no fish, and there's a small group of you guys who will always watch it, and you comment, you're like, hey man, that's why it's fishing, not catching, and y'all just want to see real fishing. So I've decided I'm out there, I'm fishing all the time, almost every day, sometimes all day, and it's such a waste to just throw that footage away. So I don't want to post that kind of stuff on the main channel, but so I don't just waste my time out there and never get videos, I'm going to go ahead and upload on the second channel, and if you want to watch it, you guys can watch it. So thank you again for watching the whole video to the end. I appreciate you guys very much, and I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. Peace.